what feminism used to be was a movement. It's like first and second wave feminism, I guess, are the technical terms. It was a movement for equal rights for women to men at a time when rights were literally not equal. Like there was no right to vote or whatever. And some women wanted that and other women did not. And it's not like a universal thing that all women wanted the right to vote because they believed that the right to vote would confer responsibility to do a whole bunch of shit that they didn't want to do. We're not getting into that discussion. We're going to make a broad blanket general statement that the early forms of feminism were women should be brought to legal equality or parity with men. That was early feminism. Then came later waves of feminism, third and fourth wave feminism, where suddenly they didn't want legal equality. They wanted something called equity. And we're seeing equity all over the place now. Diversity, equity, and inclusion. And why is this important? Why is this distinction between equity and equality important? It's because equality simply says that people are blind to whatever condition you have. They treat you the same. Equity says we must specifically recognize a particular condition and elevate the owners of that condition above the other due to a perceived or even real deficiency that previously existed. So when we look at it this way, we say, okay, women haven't been in the mainstream workforce as long as men. By the fucking numbers, you're going to have more male executives than females, because once women enter the workforce, it's going to take time for them to fill the ranks and matriculate upwards into executive positions. It will necessarily take time. So equality would say that when a job application comes in, or a boost for a promotion comes in between two candidates, one man, one woman, they would not look at the gender of the two candidates. They would look at the experience qualifications of those two candidates, and they would choose the one that is more experienced, and they would promote them as more deserving. Maybe they have more seniority as well. That could come in, whatever it is. They would promote the person who's more qualified for the position. In a hypothetical ideal world, I know there's a million things that go into job selection, but in this wonderful computer simulation, you would ignore the genders, ignore the races or whatever, and you would just determine based on skill. Okay, this more skilled wins, they get the position. That's equality. Equity goes, whoa, we've got a man and a woman, and we have traditionally less women in these roles than we have men. What we're going to do is add a level of favor to the woman to compensate for the fact that we would want to see more women in this position due to the fact that women have been artificially suppressed over men or under men. And so therefore we're going to specifically look at the gender and determine that being a woman is of value over being a man. Now, theoretically, the man could have a sufficient list of qualifications to outdo that. But equity looks at it and gives more value to some innate characteristic. This is the quintessential idea of modern affirmative action, which has changed pretty dramatically from its inception too. But that being said, this is what third and fourth wave feminism are. It's to take the female trait and to assign a value to it that is superior to men. And I think the fourth wave feminism is to probably devalue the male trait to provide equity at a faster pace is the best way to describe it. So what is feminism? It really depends on what you mean. If feminism means simply equal rights, then call me a fucking feminist, I guess, because I think that everybody should have equal rights, but in equal opportunity. But if you want to have equal outcomes, which is what equity looks to do, is to equalize the back end. And I'm all about the back end, but not in this category. That is what feminism is right now. It's what racial activism is today as well. It's about equalizing the back end, which is to control the outcome of society rather than the beginning or the opportunities that are presented. And that is completely fucking incorrect in my opinion. And men, this is mostly the product of, I'll say, fourth wave feminism, but a little bit of third. Men are literally being devalued and they're feeling it. And so when you've got men who don't want to be with women, it's because they are being put into a lower class. Since they're being put into a lower class, they're rebelling against those lower classes. They're rebelling against that and they're saying, fine, I'll just fuck right off then. I don't need you. I can get a doll or I can do whatever I want. This is what you hear Drexel talk about all the time. I don't necessarily agree that that's the right thing for men to do, but I certainly understand where a lot of men are coming from in this thing. They feel like, well, if society's not going to value me, then I'm not going to value society in any way. I'm not going to value, or I shouldn't say value society, value the structure of society that these people are trying to build, because they're not going to build anything. They're going to destroy it. So that's that. I hope that's an explanation of what my perception of what's going on is. And I think I'm correct.